EUROCUP-3 continues in 2026 with the second race of the weekend here at Portimao in the Algarve. Portugal is one of the most fantastic venues on the calendar, and this weekend has already been a very important one for the championship battle. You can see the calendar is already littered with Formula One venues, and this weekend has definitely been a significant one for the championship leader, and it's now James Igozzi territory. 31 points his lead after qualifying as he sealed pole position earlier this morning, the Palou Motorsport team's first in EuroCup-3. And with the 2 bonus points, he now leads the championship by 31 points to the man in second in the championship, René Lammers, who is now 5 ahead of Keanu Alazari, who is 9 ahead of Ian Eichmans. Chris Alfagali, Alex Powell, Hayden Delagno, Gianmarco Pradel, Rafael Parad and Patrick Hosenroder are continuing the chase in the top 10, with 17 drivers having scored points from the opening weekend and a half so far. So now it's time for the second and final race of the weekend. Not every weekend this season is a triple header. There are only sprint races at selected venues this year, notably at Paul Ricard, Imola, and of course at Silverstone. But for now, it's the second of 2 races. I'm Jake Sanson in the commentary box position. Joining me down in pit lane is Alex Garcia. Alex, James Igozzi is in such a prime position. 31 points in the lead and in pole position. Is there anyone out there who can stop him?
We talked about this, Jake. Hello again. James Igozzi is in such a good position for the championship. He's way ahead of his rivals. He couldn't lose his lead today, even if everything went wrong. But he made sure that nothing went wrong, so far at least. If he were to win this race, potentially, the advantage would start to become something difficult to recover from, for his rivals at least. But, Jake, as you know very well, we've seen this in both EuroCup-3 and the Formula 4 Spanish Championship. Seasons are long, we've seen it in all the series as well, and anything can happen. Just one bad weekend can mess up your whole season. So no one can relax too much. But that just means that this result could be potentially even more important than we're just thinking right now, or that we're realizing. But it is such a pleasure to watch these drivers run around this track. It is such a pleasure to see James Igozzi just blossoming so much after what was a very interesting last year. We haven't talked so much about last year now, but I can tell you, Jake, that it was the general belief in the paddock that he was basically the best outsider, so the best driver who was not part of the Campos, Griffin Core, MP, KCL squads. This just means that the paddock knew that they had a very good driver in there. And guess what? Of course, James Igozzi is driving for a certain team called Palou Motorsport. As you know, back on the other side of the pond, there is a driver called Alex Palou who celebrated yesterday's result with a pole position in IndyCar. And I'm sure James Igozzi wants to do a little bit of a racing breakfast for the team by getting a little bit of a success, expecting that his boss will just follow it up later on.
Amazing, isn't it? A few years ago, so many people were tipping Alex Palou for greatness in Formula One and were a little bit aggrieved that he never made it. Why would he even consider that now as the king of IndyCar racing on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean? Let's talk about the way that these teams have come into 2026. Every single year so far in EuroCup-3 over the last 3 years of its campaign, it's been about MP and Campos pretty much consistently all the way. But in the first 4 races of this year, into a second weekend now, MP and Campos have been off the top step of the podium. Palou picked up their 3rd win in their history yesterday. And of course, back in Paul Ricard, we had the first ever wins in EuroCup-3 for Drivex and Hitech. When are MP or Campos going to get another look in? Well, you can see for yourselves the competitors making their way around the course on the reconnaissance laps. They are just trying their best at the moment to warm up the tyres and brakes ready for the start. They'll obviously get a much better chance of doing that in the formation lap. We've got Igozzi on pole position, of course, and the 2 bonus points that go with it. But with the Belgian fans watching, a chance for some renaissance. Ian Eichmans on the front row of the starting grid. We saw how horrendously it's been going for Team Belgium in the paddock so far this weekend, with problems for Strauven, Eichmanns and Bolivet across the two championships thus far. But with Ian Eichmanns back on the front row of the grid, there is a chance for some redemption, and goodness knows he could be the one to actually break the MP Campos jinx of 2026. Primed and ready on the second position of the grid. He's the leading rookie, but Palou haven't got just one man at the sharp end of the field. This is what's crazy about it. James Zigotzi has been galvanizing the team in such a fantastic method that now Heitor Delanyol and Rafael Parard are going to be joining him in the top 5. They're on the second row of the grid together. They could get a podium clean sweep today, which would be absolutely unprecedented. Here's the grid. James Zigotzi and Ian Eichmanns on the front row of the starting grid. Then Heitor Delanyol and Rafael Parard together for the Palou squad on row 2. Alex Powell, P5 for Griffin Core. Christopher Garley for Trivex, P6. Then Thomas Strauven and Chiaro Alazari, the former championship combatant, now down to 3rd in the standings. Bradell and Feldman rounding out the top 10 in front of Tom Van Ichkel and Gino Trappa. Then in 13th on the grid, it's Santino Panetta, alongside the Australian Patrick Hosenroder. Then it is Stefan Bostenjev and Kasper Stück at the pole in row 8 of the grid. Row 9 for Tommy Harfield of Great Britain and Felipe Fiorentino is row 9. And then we've got René Lammers way down in 19th on the grid alongside Bart Harrison, with Bianca Bustamante beside Ryan Caretti in row 11. Casper Stevenson and Lorenzo Campos on row 12. Then Edouard Borgna alongside Luca Miseroni. On the 14th row, it's Stylianos Kolovos and our guest driver, Jacob Bergmeister. Benjamin Beckley and Renzo Barboy take up their residency on row 15. A very tough race in the offing, particularly for the Dutchman René Lammers, who's got so much work to do from 19th on the grid. But how about this for a renaissance? James Zigotzi has really pushed the Palou Motorsport team forward, and so now there's not just one of them at the sharp end, but 3 of them. Brazil's Heitor Delanyol and France's Rafael Parard have joined in the fun in the top 5 for this weekend, for this race as well. But there's not just one man from Miami, Florida in the top 5. There's also Alex Powell for Campos Racing. Ian Eichmanns, however, in car number 4 for MP Motorsport with a chance. Alex, this could be a real chance for Ian Eichmanns to give MP a chance to get back onto the winners rostrum. But the Palou boys, 1st, 3rd and 4th, it looks like he's finally got some ringers to help him as James Zigotzi.
Pretty much the whole squad, and that just makes it even more difficult, because honestly, we know that these drivers, they don't necessarily play nice with each other, even if they're in the same team, because they have to fight for their own interests. But when you're fighting with your teammates, you know them better. You can fight together, at least for a few laps. As you said before, there can be that classic karting strategy. Let's get out, let's get away together, and let's fight on the last few laps, because at the end of the day, it's in our best interest, isn't it? So in that sense, Ian Eichmanns will have to fight by himself, but we know that he can do it. He showed it last year in the Spanish Championship, in Formula 4 Spanish Championship. So why not? He could be the one to bring MP Motorsport to the top of the podium. We know that he has the talent, so it will be for sure an exciting race ahead of us.
Well, the Brazilian motorsport fans are in legion on our stream, because Heitor Delanyol putting it on the second row of the grid. It's the best chance yet of a Brazilian victor this season. Certainly been a tough one for Brazilian fans to watch EUROCUP-3 in late weeks, but there's every chance. And what an opportunity it is for the other drivers in the teams that are not used to running so high up. We've got Alcif Feldman Neto for MP right up in the top 10. We've got Patrick Hosenroder struggling for Campos. Enzo Tamvadichkel, the Red Bull Junior, in front of him. There are quite a few drivers trying to make up for lost time. The biggest scalp, really, in this one, Alex, is René Lammers. 19th position on the grid. That is not where he wanted to be, and he's going to have a terrible amount of hard work to come in this race.
Not where we expected to see him on the grid, that's for sure. But if there's a track that allows for some space and some time and some good corners to recover, this is Portimao. We could see him recover and get into the points fairly quick if he has a good start. But one driver that I want to point, and that I don't want to discount as a potential even race-winning candidate, that's Chiaro Alazari. He's in the top 10. Yes, qualifying did not go the way he wanted, but we know that he has been in the podium after falling to P20, P24. So why not fight for the win, even though he's starting just a bit further behind from what we would like? We have plenty of candidates, Jake, so I think that to finish the weekend, to cap it off with a great race, that would be ideal here in Portimao.
Such a good point, and I know that the Brazilian fans watching will want to see Hector Delagnol try to go for that, but you're right, Keanu Alazari, we know how fast he can be when he's got the red mist, and after yesterday, he will certainly have that from P8 on the grid, so he can't be counted out. Hector Delagnol could become the first Brazilian ever to win in EUROCUP-3 from third position on the grid. Ian Eichmans needs to give the Belgian fans something to smile about again, but they're all trying to chase down the man in red, white and black at the front of the field. The young man from Miami, 18 years of age, James Zigotzi, EuroCup-3 winner last year, has given Portimao Motorsport all 3 of its race victories and their first ever pole position just a couple of hours ago. But what can he do in this race? If he gets the clean sweep, Alex, I've got a feeling that James Zigotzi's championship lead could be unassailable until at least mid-season.
As I said yesterday, when you have a huge championship lead, which is what he's going after today, especially with some of his rivals further behind than they should be, you can start controlling that gap. On a race that you're not necessarily too competitive, you don't need to take risks. You can wait until such time as you are competitive. And when you have this situation, you stop losing points in a silly manner. We know that James Zigotzi has the experience and has the speed, so he would not be one prone to making silly mistakes. But this is motorsport. It can happen if you have the need to take a risk. So if he has a good result, if he wins the race, if he still makes that gap bigger, keep an eye on him, because he will have sent his first big letter to the rest of the teams. Boys, I'm out for blood.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough old race. The Dallara 326 will be put through its paces here at Portimao. Gracias, Alex. We'll come back to you when we need you. So the battle is joined as the drivers make their way round to the starting grid once again. Formation lap here at Portimao. James Zigotzi from pole position, the first ever pole position for Portimao Motorsport. 2 bonus points for James Zigotzi, extends his lead in the championship to 31. But as Alex Garcia pointed out, keep an eye on the man in pink, Keanu Alazari. He'll be so frustrated that the victory got away from him from the front row of the grid yesterday. If anyone's going to bounce back and put himself into the frame of this title fight once again, it's the boy from Dubai. Keanu Alazari can never, ever be ruled out in EuroCup-3 these days. He won the Winter Championship. He's definitely a contender for the overall championship in the main season. But that's the man who he and everybody else have got to beat today. James Zigotzi in the form of his life and now backed up by his teammates, Hector Delagnol and Rafael Perard. But as much as he's got their support, they could turn rogue on him. They'll want to get their designs on their first win in the championship as well. EuroCup-3 doesn't work the same way Formula 1 does. It's not a team game. It's very much an individual driver game. So we'll see what the drivers can make of a fabulous race battle ahead of us. 30 minutes plus 1 lap on the Portimao circuit. The second and final race of the weekend. Only 3 triple headers this season. We've already had one of them at Paul Ricard. The other 2 will come later in the season, next time out at Imola. And then, of course, we'll also have a sprint race at Silverstone in September. But the battle is joined once again for EuroCup-3. James Zigotzi, Ian Eichmans, Delagnol, Perard, Powell, Elfagali, Strauben, Alazari, Pradell and Feldman. With Tarmanichkal, Trapper, Panetta, Hosenroder, and all the way back in 19th, René Lammers trying to make progress. How far can James Zigotzi extend his lead in the championship? Will the others get a chance to fight back? Let's race again in Portimao. Perfect start for James Zigotzi. Ian Eichmans has got a reasonable one, and it looks like he could hold second position without incident as into third position into turn 1. It's going to be Powell round the outside. He has got past both the Polo boys, and Alex Powell launches into the vanguard of this race victory. Fantastic for Powell into third place, giving chase to Ian Eichmans on the opening lap. Out of turn 4, and already it's battle lines drawn as Delagnol tries his best to shake off the attentions of the chasing pack. Strauben, Elfagali and Alazari going round the outside of the Lebanese. We've got safety car already called. Safety car's been called. We've had an incident on the first sector by the look of it, and it's Luca Visarono in trouble. Luca Visarono, the Romanian. Well, that didn't even take 60 seconds. Oh, there he is. That's such a shame for the TC Racing driver. And Luca Vizaronu with big damage. So clearly he got spat out to the sidelines. His front wing is in the backdrop. So that is the Romanian interest in this race already deleted. What a shame. And so now all of the contenders will line up behind James Igozzi, who's got the perfect start. Ian Eichmann's in second, third is Alex Powell. And if I know James Igozzi, when he makes his restart, expect him to leave it to the last possible minute as they come through to the start-finish line. The safety car was already poised to collect them at the final turn. It's only if the drivers make it through the first sector unaided that the safety car then peels off into the pits. That's how it works. Safety car stays at the back of the field just in case. So that's how it all works. Georgie pointing out the safety car deploying too fast. Well, they know how to get these things done. But as we know, the Portimao marshals will be on the case. There are very few motorsport marshals in the world faster than these guys. So the second they saw Vizaronu in the gravel, they would have mobilised. Quick, go and get him. So now that the safety car has picked up the field, they will already be on the case. There you go, told you so. The marshals here are so quick. They're almost quicker than a Formula One pit crew. Igozzi and Eichmann's leading the field around from Alex Powell. What a start from him. The Frenchman Raphael Perard, very confident in that opening stint as well. Ahead of Delagnol, Straubing, El Fagali, Al-Azari, Pradel and Alsi Feldman. There's still big opportunities for James Igozzi to extend his championship lead even further, especially with the man second in the championship, René Lammers, currently down in 20th. He even lost places on that first lap. So pretty disastrous, really, for René Lammers, who's on 48 points. Al-Azari's on 43, and he's the favourite to move back into second in the championship. But with Igozzi leading and looking good for 25 points, Al-Azari is currently in 8th and looking good for 4 points. So that pretty much puts Igozzi's lead into astronomical proportions. So weaving from side to side, just keeping tyre temperature and brake temperature as prime as possible. Safety car in this lap. I adore the marshals in Portugal. They are so quick. They've already cleared the wreckage. They've already got us back to racing conditions after just one lap. I love Portimao. And so it's up to James Igozzi. Yesterday, on his restarts, he was very good at leaving it to the last possible moment to hit the throttle. He waited until the top of the crest on the main straight. I wonder if he'll do the same today with Ian Eichmann and Alex Powell chasing him down on the restart. Amazing to see what Alex Pallot's team are doing to the normal MP Campos bandwagon. Now they've got 3 drivers in the top 5. So James Igozzi waits. If I know him, he's going to leave it until he goes over the top of the blind crest and back up the whole pack. It seems to work for him. And certainly these cars, you handle the restart differently to how you would in the F1 Spanish Championship. Look, Igozzi just waits. He probably won't hit the throttle now until they come up over the top of the crest. Nothing wrong with that. It's a tactic that worked for him yesterday. So as they come over the top of the rise, wait for it. He's going to floor the throttle now. And so we go green. And once again here at Portimao, it's the last possible moment for the restart, but it means there's no big tow for Ian Eichmann's. Closing in on James Igozzi to the first corner. Some of the others may get the benefit from a tow. And Chiaro Al-Azari's already trying to attack Chris Fagali into the first corner. He's not quite going to make it as Enzo Timanichkul goes to battle on Alsi Feldman for the lower points positions. Down on the inside, that's Perard protecting his position from Delagnol. Delagnol comes back at him, and the Brazilian gets in front of his teammate, who goes out wide onto the runoff, and now comes back at him. Side by side, the Pallot teammates. Watch out, boys. Here comes Straubing. Straubing wants to get up the inside of the Pallot boys, and he nearly gets a nerf on the right front. Next behind him is Chiaro Al-Azari. He's already got ahead of Gianmarco Pradel and Chris Fagali. So Fagali down to P9. And Al-Azhari is attacking. He loves this car. He loves this circuit. He did very well here in the Winter Series. So Keanu Al-Azhari with a chance to really showcase his comeback credentials. Good defensive tactics from Strauven, though. He holds the inside line. Keanu Al-Azhari is going to have to take a more conventional approach. Strauven will get the back end of the car kick out a little bit. Igotzi's got the advantage to Eichmann, Powell, Delaniol, Perard. And there goes Al-Azhari on the inside of Strauven. Strauven holds the car right round the outside, though. There's grip to be found, and he finds it. So Al-Azhari will have to try again. He'll get the natural toe on the main straight, and then he's got to hope that he's got quicker moves than Strauven. So the end of the first green flag lap. Pit lane incident, car number 6, power braking noted. So that's interesting. That's for Stylianos Kolovos. Down the straight we go, and Al-Azhari's got a little bit of a toe, as meanwhile Rafael Perard is going to watch his teammates sail into third place as Heitor Delaniol gets into third past Alex Powell. The Brazilian gets onto the podium, and so we could have 2 Palos at the top end of the field. Heitor Delaniol now in front of the man from Miami, Alex Powell, and Al-Azhari's in front of Strauven. He got it done. And so now the man from Dubai is going to try and work his way back into the top 5 as Strauven tries to go long on Al-Azhari's high tech, and it doesn't quite work out. He's got to go long and let the man have the move. Igotzi, Eichmanns, Delaniol and Powell. Alex Powell, much better today than he was yesterday. So it's good to see the teenage Charger continue his move to the top spot. Isn't it amazing? You wait ages for a talent from Miami, Florida, and then 2 come along at once. James Igotzi and Alex Powell, and they are separated in age by only 2.5 months. Alex Powell slightly older than James Igotzi, but only by weeks. Igotzi, Eichmanns, Delaniol, Powell and Perard. That's your top 5 at the moment. Coming off the final sector, Igotzi has got such confidence in this car, and he's got such faith in the team. They are giving him all the ingredients to extend this lead in the championship ever further. And with René Lammers down in 19th place and Keanu Al-Azhari rising to P6, this is very much looking like James Igotzi's championship to lose, even after only 2 race weekends. It's looking perfect for Igotzi. It's up the inside, a little bit of a quest from Pradell. He seeks the move on Strauven, doesn't quite get it to work on this occasion. But he's certainly sizing up the move. And that is Chris Alfaghali, now under pressure too from Gianmarco Pradell himself. Pradell really wants this. Alfaghali managing to pull clear. That's Alfaghali getting the move on Pradell, I should point out. And now Pradell's going to come back at him. Takes back the place. Thanks, mate. But he runs wide on the exit. Chris Alfaghali was prepared for it. Don't make mistakes around me, I'll pick up all the trash. And he works his way back into position. Pradell on the inside again, though. And Alfaghali's drifted wide. Something's happened. Something's happened to Alfaghali. I think he's got a puncture. Alfaghali is dropping like a stone. Absolute disaster for the Lebanese. And Chris Alfaghali, yellow flags. He stopped out at turn 8. Oh, and there's wheel to wheel as Strauven mixes it with Pradell. My apologies, that's not Pradell, that's Hosenroder. Hosenroder drifting with Strauven as they run in close proximity. But it's yellow flags and safety car. Oh, Chris Alfaghali, what a shame for the man from Lebanon. It was such a great weekend for him at Paul Ricard, giving the Drivex team their first win in EuroCup-3. Well, it's been a very much tougher weekend in Portimao. And certainly for Chris Alfaghali, he drops out of the race and brings us under safety car for the 2nd time. Heartbreak. Heartbreak for the team. And certainly for Chris Alfaghali and all the fans watching back home in Lebanon. Got to feel for Chris Alfaghali, the 16-year-old from Wadi Chador. His weekend just came to a plummeting halt. He's now got to wait for 4 weeks to go racing again. The first weekend of July, when the field will descend at Imola as guests of the European Le Mans Series. But sadly for Chris Alfaghali, he does not have a strong result to take to Imola. problems yesterday, struggled to the finish, not getting to the finish line today. Big disappointment. But the safety car picks him up. And so now we've got Alex Garcia down in pit lane. What can you tell us about the opening couple of phases? We've already had 2 safety cars, Alex, and it looks like there's quite a lot of sweaty palms down there in the pits.
Pretty much, Jake. I just wanted to also take the chance because we have here behind me, just before the safety car came out, we have another retirement, which is Jacob Bergmeister, unfortunately with technical issues in his GRS machine. So unfortunately, not only on-track incidents are causing less drivers to be on track, but also technical gremlins.
So that's 3 retirements then. We've got Chris Alfagali out, Jacob Bergmeister out, and Luca Vizzarono out. Thanks, Alex. Big disappointments then for the drivers around. The recovery crew already at the scene to recover Chris Alfagali. But there's definitely going to be some pressure at the front end of the field. We've seen already some racy moves from Alex Powell and from Chialo Alizari, but there just seems to be little or no pace, Alex, from René Lammers. He's down in 18th position and he can't seem to be making that much progress.
Because I was expecting the qualifying issues to just be a qualifying issue and not so much a lack of pace in these conditions, especially because the conditions are not necessarily super different from what we saw yesterday. So it's something that I will probably have to try and find out from someone from MP, see if they can tell me exactly what's going on, because this is highly unusual from a driver who is very, very competitive normally.
And it's catastrophic for the championship as well, because René Lammers was second. We're going to see what happened with Chris Alfagali again. It's Bradell who made the dive on the inside. I'm not sure if there was just the slightest bit of contact between the two. No, it just looks like Alfagali just runs out of puff, whatever it was. But the car just crawls to a stop and he pulls it off on the curb initially. And then he tries to get it going again, I think, but he gets beached in the gravel. So disaster for Chris Alfagali. But at championship ramifications, Igozzi is going to pull away with another 25 points here, the way things are currently looking. Alizari's down in P6. Lammers is way out of the points. I mean, he could have a lead that he may not lose until Monza at this rate.
Exactly, Jake. This is something that we were talking about it before the race started. It is the position which dreams are made of for drivers, you know? Finding yourself in the lead of a race with a safety car, which means that you don't have to defend yourself from your rivals, and your championship rivals are just far, far, far away. This is what you want as a racing driver. Nobody to bother you, be it in a race or in the championship. Now, I know, I've said it before, the championship is very long, but this is what he will have wanted from the weekend, and I can imagine the smile at the end of the race. Let's see how the race ends, though, because there's still some time which could see some surprises.
Gracias, Alex. We'll come back to you when we need to. Safety car in this lap. Once again, the Portimao Marshals have absolutely been on their A game all weekend long, and now, again, we only get a short safety car period to go racing once again. But James Igozzi, his dominance has just been extraordinary this weekend. Pole position today, win yesterday, win possibly on the march again today. Eichmann's second from Delagnol, then Powell, Perard, Alizari, and once again, James Igozzi is going to back up the pack. Now, this tactic he's developed of waiting until they get to the top of the crest of the rise, it means that the driver directly behind him doesn't get the chance of the toe. So it really helps him to establish his advantage at the front of the field. Just watch him back it up, back it up, back it up. They're going to go up the top of the crest, and then he'll hit the throttle. The green flag waves, but he doesn't have to hit the throttle until he decides to. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Now he's going to go for it. That really is as late as possible as we go green, 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 green once again. James Igozzi heads us down to the first corner. And Eichmann and Delagnol are giving chase. The authorities are keeping an eye on things. And we charge down to the first turn. Igozzi leads into the first corner. And side by side, Alizari battling away with the hard-charging Thomas Strauben and gets him. Here comes Delagnol. He dives in on Eichmann's. Beautiful from Heitor Delagnol. And it's Palou 1-2 as the Brazilian gets in a second position. Fantastic. Heitor Delagnol with a stunning move into turn 3, and now Alex Powell is going to try and come round the outside of Ian Eichmann's. They're going to bang wheels. Powell keeps himself in the game. Up the climb. Powell still to the inside line. He now tucks back in behind Ian Eichmann's. I'll have another go later. Rafael Parade also trying his best, and he's going to lose it to the inside of Powell, who goes up in the air, and he's out again. Where is the luck for Alex Powell? What does this guy have to do? Off goes Alex Powell. Safety car will come out, and yet again, the man from Miami is pointless. I genuinely do not know what this man has to do. He has to empty out every single component in that car and make sure that he hasn't got any devil's snares or rabbit's feet or whatever it might be that's glued to the insides of the car. Alex Powell has no luck at all. Egozzi leads the way, Delagnol second, Eichmann's is third. From Al-Azhari now up into fourth place as a result of all of that. Pradell in P5 from Straven, Hosenroder. Safety car is called. I cannot believe it. Is there an unluckier driver in motorsport in the last 18 months than Alex Powell? I doubt it. Having such a great race, battling for the podium. He was looking good for it at one stage, but the back end just kicked out on Rafael Parade, and he drifted into the side of Powell. Powell up on two wheels in the gravel, done, finished. What a waste of a weekend. You've really got a feel for Alex Powell. We'll see another look at it, I'm sure, on the replay. But now we've got Palou's 1 and 2. Egozzi and Delagnol from Eichmann's, Al-Azhari, Pradell, Straven, Hosenroder, Alce Feldman, Gino Trappa and Enzo Tarmanichko. And there's still no sign of René Lammers, 15th position at the moment, so he's about 5 places away from scoring a point. And Rafael Parade has pitted. So Rafael Parade clearly with damage after that incident. And Kasper Stucker's come into the pits as well. It's heroes to zeros for the Technicar squad as Kasper Stucker now brings his car into pit road. And out of the car gets Rafael Parade. Well, the dream ends for the Frenchman. And so he's going to have to wait now until Imola for another chance to get on the podium for Palou. And then there were 2 at the front end of the field at least. The third car in the race still is that of Bianca Bustamante, who is battling away with Renzo Barboy and Edouard Borgna. Fair play to Renzo Barboy. Started dead last. He's now 19th. What a crazy race it's been, though. Vizaronu out, Bergmeister out, El Fagali out, Powell out, Stucker out, Perard out. So it looks like Kasper Stucker was involved in a separate incident, and he's coming to the pit lane and is staying there. So after just 9 laps of racing, 6 retirements. It's a real race of attrition this time, and we've got 10.5 minutes left. Well, floods of appreciation across social media already for Alex Powell. All sorts of difficulties for the 18-year-old. Formerly part of the Mercedes Junior Driver Program, was dropped rather unfairly, in my personal opinion. And this is the kind of luck he's having. Here's the restart. Egozzi timing it to perfection. Make sure there's no toe. And then watch this from Delagnol in 3rd position. Charges to the first corner, gets through it without incident. Al-Azhari round the outside of Straven, lovely job. And then up the hill, Powell minding his own business. Perard slides, bang! Ugh. Poor Alex Powell. It takes a lot in this sport to feel that much sympathy for a driver who's just chosen to go racing. But there's nothing Alex Powell seems to be able to do to get this jinx off his back. And it couldn't have happened to a lovelier guy either. Fabulous chap. Safety car in this lap. Amazing work again from the Portimao Marshals. But for everybody watching back home in Miami, it's bittersweet. Because one man is still leading, the other is on the sidelines again. Alex Powell has had a grand total of about 23 minutes of racing this weekend. That's not even one full race distance. What a shame. So the safety car departs, and it's even easier on the restart this time because Igozzi has now got his teammate Hayter Delaniol with him for company. In theory, that should make things easier on the restart. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that Hayter Delaniol is going to work very hard here in this race. He's got a chance to become Brazil's first ever winner in EUROCUP-3. They've yet to produce one yet. So now we'll see if the chance reigns supreme. Igozzi has his teammate right with him. And Igozzi goes for the throttle now. Green, 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 green once again here at Portimao. And Igozzi and Delaniol go together. Igozzi knows that Delaniol is going to be threatening him. How about that? We've now got two belows up front as Alazari is trying to deal with Gianmarco Pradel in a turn one. Pradel tries to go around the outside, not going to happen. And so now Eichmanns has got to protect from the man from Dubai in fourth position. Gianni Alazari working his magic out of the left-hander along the back straight, and he's got the toe on the man in third position. Ian Eichmanns upholding the honour of MP Motorsport up at the sharp end, and here comes Alazari. He uncorks the bottle and gets into third place again. He is so good at these moves. When one guy in front moves across to defend, he just moves further. Is that all you've got? Bye-bye. Wonderful from Alazari again. And he's got time, 7 and a bit minutes here. He can go for Delaniol, and if he's got the pace we think he has, he could go for the lead. But how clean is it going to be around him? That's going to be the key factor. How many more issues and incidents are we going to have that could trigger safety cars? We've got to keep it clean, boys and girls. Keep it careful out there. Race hard, okay, but race fair. We know that in EuroCup-3 we can have those battles. The immense tussle that we saw between Igozzi and Alazari at Paul Ricard is already the stuff of legends. Round the outside, mistake from Pradel, and that could open up the door for Thomas Strauven. Strauven with a chance in the final bend. Holding his nerve, Pradel trying to keep this around the outside, but Strauven has got him. Lovely job from the Belgian. Watch out, boys, you've got Hosenroder on your tail, and they're going to go 2 wide, make that 3 wide. Hosenroder's going to try and get past both of them. See you later, alligators, and he's got them. Hosenroder gets 2 for the price of 1 in a turn 1, and that's a lovely move. That was an absolute ripper of a move from Patrick Hosenroder. And look who's joining in. Gino Trapper wants to get involved in this squabble as well. The high-tech's in there, along with the Red Bull Junior, Enzo Tarmanitschkel. But at the moment, it's Igozzi, Delaniol, and Alazari with 6 minutes to go. Dives to the inside of turn 4. Everybody behaving themselves now. That's better. So, the battle for the lower positions is getting very racy out there. Strauven's got ahead of Hosenroder. No, sorry, Strauven's lost the place to Pradel even. There's Hosenroder in the Griffin call by Campos. Then Pradel still tussling it out with Strauven. Leave each other room. You can race each other hard and fair, but make sure you've left each other room. Good work. Good battles through the field. There's good progress. Harrison up to 12th. Lammers is only 14th. He really doesn't have the pace today, sadly. Fiorentino battling with Bostanjev. Casper Stevenson's having a great race at the moment with Bianca Bustamante, Lorenzo Campos, and Edouard Borgna. And then we've got Coretti, Beckley, Colomos, Barboy. And that's it. Only 24 cars still running. Out in the lead, though, James Igozzi looking to extend his championship lead, and he'll score 10 points more than Gianni Alazari if it finishes like this. It'll put Alazari into second in the Drivers' Championship, but it will be a mammoth task to catch him. Here comes Tarmanitschkel. The tie is going to try and go round the outside of Santino Panetta, because that's the man who's just passed him. High-Tech are strong in numbers as well. So Tarmanitschkel trying to get back in there. But the Griffin core by Campos car in its Red Bull livery, it's definitely going to need a lot of hard work from Tarmanitschkel. Back straight, not a lot of racetrack to play with if Panetta's going to have anything to say about it. Down to the braking zone. Panetta protects the inside radius. Tarmanitschkel gets back to the conventional line and tries to get a better push out of the turn uphill. But Panetta controls 10th position for the moment. That is the last points paying position, don't forget. So on they run. Tarmanichkul in front of Lammers now, who's up to 12th position. There is Lammers, and behind him is Tommy Harfield. Good job from the Brit. So Tommy Harfield, who is used to racing a British F4 for Chris Dittman, well, he's doing a grand job in his first weekend in EUROCUP-3. He had a spin yesterday, but now he's mixing it with the established guard. Is that him ahead of Harrison now? Yes, he's got ahead of his teammate. So Tommy Harfield is now the leading double R. The next man is Brendan Lammers. Can he take him on? Don't forget, Lammers is currently second in the championship, but the blue and black double R machine of Tommy Harfield going well. For those wanting to know what does double R mean, well, it stands for Raikkonen Robertson Racing, the team that was established back in 2005 by Kimi Raikkonen and his manager then, Steve Robertson. They've seen some great talent go through the junior formulae. Out to the far side. Still this amazing battle going on between Hosenroder and Pradell. Pradell under the inside line. Australia fair, they bang wheels. It wasn't that fair, was it? But Gianmarco Pradell asserts himself against his Australian rival. That's how you get through now, mate. But Thomas Strauber now fancies his chances on his teammate. He's got the inside line. Well, I'm not going to hit you. I'll let you have that for now. So Thomas Strauben gets in front of Patrick Hosenroder, but I don't think Hosenroder's going to be terribly happy at the way Pradell got the job done. Well, I had the line, I had the overtaking move. You didn't back down. I've got you. That will be Gianmarco Pradell's view, and that puts him in a 5th position behind his teammate Ian Eichmans. But yet again, where is the pace from MP? Where is the pace from Campos? The only person who's really had the staying power in the top 5 for either team has been Alex Powell, and he was obviously nudged off the road in that rather precarious moment with Rafael Berard. But this season, MP and Campos are on the back foot. It's Palou and Hitech who have got the consistent pace. It really is a changing of the guard as James Zigotzi will go into lap number 15, and that's going to give us 3 laps to go if we stay at green flag. If we go to safety car, then it's only going to be 2, and we're likely to finish under it. So hopefully we're going to go all the way to the green. Igotzi leads Delaniol, Alazari, Eichmans, Pradell, Strauben, Hosenroder, Feldman and Trapper ahead of Panetta. There's Tarmanichkul battling away with Harrison. Lammers has got ahead of both of them, by the way. There is René Lammers, 11th place. And that's the Drivex. That is the 37 of Filippo Fiorentino. The Brazilian's got in there as well. Up the crest. Look how easy it is to lose the car as you go up that blind crest of turn 4. Not an easy corner at all. Then down the drop out of the back straight, up to 5. Out of the hairpin. Keep it on the black stuff, guys. That man certainly is. James Zigotzi is marching his way into an unprecedented championship lead. He already leads by 31. He's going to extend that to almost 40 points. Absolutely incredible. It might even be more than that, depending on what happens in the last 2 laps of the race. But James Zigotzi is in the form of his life right now. And Alex Palou must be thinking, do you know what? I'm not bad at this. I'm a great racing driver. I seem to be a great team principal as well. I can obviously pick good talent. James Zigotzi leading in the EUROCUP-3 category. If he fancies setting up his own team in IndyCar, I know a certain candidate who'll want to take him there. And how about this boy? Heitor Delaniol is going to give Brazil its best ever finish in EUROCUP-3 since the championship's inauguration in 2023. Great effort so far from Heitor Delaniol. Really tried to go with his teammate. But the big thing he's currently doing now is assisting his teammate in making it hard for Keanu Alazari to get through. Time has run down to 0. So this is the penultimate lap. But has Keanu Alazari got time and pace to take on Delaniol and at least get into 2nd? 3rd would do after the weekend he's had. And he'll certainly take the plaudits for coming through the field from 8th on the grid to 3rd. But he would like to get a 2nd place if he could. And Heitor Delaniol is the man that stands in his way. Careful, don't run too far wide. You don't want to get onto those marbles. The car becomes like a drunk dad on a wedding on roller skates if you get off onto those marbles on that point of the circuit. So very difficult situation for the drivers trying to close down the points tally of James Zagotzi, who's just in the form of his life. Al-Azhari making amazing progress to get into third, but that's not going to be the points haul he wanted from the weekend. Alex Powell, what does he have to do to catch a break? And René Lammers, well, he's got a bit of time to catch up to Santino Panetta, but thanks to James Zagotzi coming out of the final turn, he's only going to have one more lap to do it. What a turnaround from the Palou Motorsport team. When they made their debut in EUROCUP-3, nobody really knew what their ambitions were other than to just continue to make progress. Nobody really knew what their potential was. Were they just another team filling space on the grid? Well, ever since James Zagotzi took a win for them at the end of last year, it's been pretty clear. There are no space fillers in this field. And in 2026, Palou Motorsport are here to prove to everyone that they're not just race winners, they're here to stay at the front of the field. And thanks to Heitor Delanyol, they're going to get their first ever 1-2 finish. They have won all but 2 races so far this year. For Drivex from Chris Alfagali and from High Tech for Keanu Al-Azhari and Paul Ricard. But James Zagotzi has been absolutely in charge of things here at Portimao, and he'll go into a fantastic lead that he may not lose even in the triple header at Imola. He's in a magnificent form. Everything's going his way. He's got massive support from everybody back in Miami, back home. But what a sensational run from James Zagotzi. It's all well enough to put these guys together. It's all very well to give him a good car, but the driver has to go out there and do the job. And to be fair, he's looked metronomic since the start of the season. Out of the final turn comes the king of EuroCup-3 in 2026 so far. He won yesterday, and from pole position, he wins again today. James Zagotzi is the king of Portugal. He and Palou Motorsport get the double. Heitor Delanyol in second place, his best ever finish in EuroCup-3. And Keanu Al-Azhari, what a comeback from 8th place to 3rd. He keeps his championship aspirations alive and kicking. But James Zagotzi has made Portimao his Portuguese playground. Catch me if you can, boys. I'll see you in Imola. What a weekend for James Zagotzi. And if there's anybody watching along back home in America, hopeful of a superstar American driver to capture the spirits of Formula One in the future, that man is definitely on the rise. Cadillac, take note. Haas, take note. If you want an American in your car, well, James Zagotzi is doing all the right things to get to Formula One. Domination here in Portimao in magnificent fashion. It didn't even look like a whiff of a challenge from anybody this weekend. Absolutely majestic. A brief pole position yesterday certainly gave us all a glimmer of hope in the action 24 hours ago when we rocked up to the circuit and then had our first qualifying. Chris Alfagali on pole, René Lammers taking the lead off him early. But once James Zagotzi got to the lead, job done. Now he's done it again from the front. And pat on the back to this guy, Heitor Delanyol. Great race from the Brazilian. Totally deserving of not just the rookie win, but second overall. He'll be joined on the rookie podium by Ian Eichmans and Thomas Strauben. But a fabulous, fabulous weekend for all at Palou. The other point scorers, by the way, Eichmans in 4th, Brunel in 5th, Strauben in 6th, Hosenroder 7th, Alcy Feldman picks up points in 8th, and then Santino Panetta P9 in front of René Lammers, who gets the final point for 10th place. Not what he wanted at all. And so that certainly changes things in the championship pretty dramatically. With that victory, James Zagotzi now goes to get this, 94 points. Keanu Al-Azhari is now second in the championship on, get this, 58. That's a huge, huge lead. So James Zagotzi now goes 36 points clear in the championship fight with 3 races at Imola, and the man is looking unstoppable. He sweeps the field aside for a clean sweep here at Portimao. 2 out of 2 for James Zagotzi. Wham, bam, thank you and good night. But look at that. Not only does he get the win, he even has the time to celebrate his teammate's achievement in 2nd place. What a team player. Heitor Delanyol comes home to celebrate 2nd place. This is such a great team to be in right now. They know that MP and Campos held all the cards pre-season. But this team is changing things in EUROCUP-3 forever. Now, there are 3 big teams at the front. Make that 4 if you count High Tech. But this is the changing of the guard. This is the revelation, the renaissance. Palou Motorsport are now front runners permanently. It's always nice when one driver figures out the winning formula up front. But when 2 drivers from the same team make it to the podium in a 1-2, that's special. Yep, we know. Number 27, such an iconic number in motorsport. And Heitor Delanyol is the latest to wear number 27 to put on a great show in motorsport. EuroCup-3 has been torn apart by Palou Motorsport and High Tech. 2 weekends now, not a single win for MP or Campos. The first time that's ever happened. James Zagotzi and Heitor Delanyol, 1-2 for Palou. Keanu Al-Azari 3rd from Eichmanns and Pradell in the MPs. Straven and Hosenroder giving chase from Alcy Feldman, Santino Panetta, and René Lammers with just a solitary point. It really is looking such a different season in 2026. Tom Vanichkal, Trappa, Fiorentino and Stevenson just miss out on points, as do Campos, Harrison, Kolovos, Bostanjev and Beckley, with P20 in the end going to Bianca Bustamante. Then Edouard Borgna, Tommy Harfield dropping to the back, Renzo Barboy further back as well, and Ryan Caretti losing ground in the closing stages, with all sorts of flotsam and jetsam around them. Perard, Stucker, El Fagali, Alex Powell, Jacob Bergmeister and Luca Vizaronu. What a story. 2 months into the season, and it is an absolute domination. 3 wins out of 5 for James Zagotzi. He's with Alex Garcia.
James Zagotzi, pole position, race to win after yesterday, big championship lead. What a day!
Really good day, and also 1-2 for the team. 2nd time we've done that this season, so super happy, man. It's what we were looking forward to. We just need to carry this momentum forward, but it's been really positive, and we'll see what the rest of the season has in store.
Obviously, from the outside, there's a risk of this race looking easy, but is there ever such a thing as an easy race?
No, there's never such a thing. There's a lot of talented guys behind who can always make the race more interesting than it needs to be for me, unfortunately. No, it just went good. The car's where it needs to be, and the driving is where it needs to be, and I'm very happy with everybody's work and couldn't thank everybody enough.
You mentioned, of course, that 1-2 for Palou Motorsport. That's great news for the team, but it is very easy to just focus on what's happening now. This work is not just a result of just a few weeks or a few months. This has been going on for more than a year. How happy are you guys to finally see the results of all that hard work?
No, we're super happy. Of course, there's been some very crucial people involved in the process who, like I said, can't thank them enough. I'm doing my best to thank them as much as possible, but yeah, we have good staff, good people from Prema and Palou that are working really well together to provide these results for us drivers. And as you can see, from a driving perspective, we're also improving as a team. So really happy, and just like I said, looking forward to what comes next.
Do we have any predictions for tonight's Indy race?
Well, Alex starts pole. I hope he can do what I did, you know? Hope he can learn a little from me this time and keep the pole position throughout. There's a lot of pit stops involved, of course, but I think if anybody can do it, he's the guy.
James, time to enjoy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, everybody.
How happy are these guys after what they've been through and how much hard work they've done to get to where they are? 1-2, and what a championship lead for James Zagotzi.
Yeah, it's on our screens at the moment. We've just been looking at the Drivers' Championship. Alex Garcia provisionally 44 points is now the lead that Alex Garcia has in the championship over Chiara Malazzari. An unprecedented domination in the first 5 races of the season. 3 wins out of 5. Next on the calendar, a very different racetrack altogether, Imola. There's very little room for mistakes. It's an old school Formula One circuit, and it certainly will be a tough test. Any mistakes will be punished big time in a month.
Absolutely, but it'll be hot. Temperatures will be, or should be, very similar to what we've seen here. So even though the character is different, everything that the teams have learned here in terms of tire management will be worth it. But then again, I can only be so happy and so looking forward to that, because Imola is just one of those hallowed grounds of motorsport where just being there you can feel the history, and where winning, of course, is a big thing for any driver. Yes, winning in any race has as much value in terms of points for the championship, but there's also the emotional value, and winning it in such a place, I think, will make some of the drivers push a little bit harder than usual.
This early phase of the season for Palou Motorsport has got to be giving people some questions to ask. We know that in the first 3 seasons, it's been the MP and Campos Roadshow. But how is it that Palou have come into this season and just found the niche with this car? Obviously, with it being a new car, the Dallara 326, it's definitely a change of the guard. But what is it that Palou have done that have got the understanding of this car so much better than their rivals? Where has this advantage really come from, do you think?
I'm not going to say that I know it, because if I knew, I would probably be higher but some of these teams behind me. But I do know that at the tail end of 2024, the team was hunting, and they did successfully hunt for some former engineers from Formula One. So the team is doing a lot of big efforts to get some very experienced, very talented engineers to make sure that they can understand what makes these cars click. You can hardly change the tides with the car as it was the case last year, which was on its 3rd year. Very difficult to just cut that distance. But as you said, Jake, with a new car, if your team is good, if your engineers have that much wealth of experience, you can quickly get to know it, maybe even faster than anybody else, and they've shown it. And it's not just a driver issue, it's a whole team that's performing so well. So to me, that's probably the key. They just made a very good hirings in terms of a technical team that's growing very quickly and very well.
2 weekends into the championship then, and we've had a few new teams come in as well. High-Tech, Double R, a few of the other protagonists really starting to get a little bit more data out of this new Dallara 326. But it tells, doesn't it? High-Tech have such a great reputation. They came in and won in their first weekend with Chiara Malazzari, but we're still learning. We're still getting the nuts and bolts of this car. Even MP and Campos are struggling to maintain the pace at the sharp end. This new car really is the star of the show, if you will, because it's definitely changed things a lot in this paddock, and it's probably going to continue to change things when we go through to Imola, to Monza, to Silverstone, to the Hungaroring. There's still quite a few chapters left to write.
Exactly, and I'm sure that on the coming weekends we will still see some of these fortunes swinging a little bit from side to side, and that's what makes this championship so exciting. But yes, at some point, I guess, maybe towards the end of the summer, we should start to see some stability, I think.
Gracias, Alex. We'll see you for more great action from EuroCup-3 at Imola.
Looking forward to it, very much so.
Well, I'll tell you who is definitely looking forward to it. It's the Palou Motorsport team. They're in such great form. Chiara Malazzari making his way to the podium. Another rostrum for him, another bit of silverware. It could have been 2 after yesterday, but they are motivated. They are hungry. They will still fight for this championship. But for Heitor Delagnol, his best ever result, the best ever result for a Brazilian in EuroCup-3. And a 2nd place for Palou on a day when the Palou Motorsport team conquered all here in Portugal for the boy wonder from Miami, Florida. James Igozzi, unstoppable in 2026. 3 wins out of 5, and yet again, the Star-Spangled Banner here in Portimao. take a wild guess and say that that was Karim Al-Azari filming his brilliant son, continuing the family name, along with his brother Adam, who's still doing a great job in Europe as well in the F4 categories. But Keanu Al-Azari enjoying another trip to the podium. Don't worry, boys. We're still in this fight. We'll be back for more in Imola. We're ready. We're motivated. And we're going to eat into that Palou advantage. But it is a big advantage at the moment. So much so that even Hater Delagno get his chance for the podium run. One step away from the win for the Brazilian, and deservedly so. A great drive from the 16-year-old from Passo Fundo in Brazil. But of course, the man on top is still James Igozzi. If the promoters at the Miami Grand Prix were hoping for a poster boy in future years in Formula One, look no further. This man is doing everything he needs to. And as for the Palou Motorsport team, Alex Palou will wake up in America with a big smile on his face. The team is conquering all in EUROCUP-3 on Saturday and Sunday. That'll be a big motivator for him to storm it in IndyCar. But now, a fabulous, fabulous end to the weekend for James Igozzi. He takes the victory here in Portimao, and we finish our EuroCup-3 coverage for the second round of 2026. We'll be back for more in 4 weeks' time at Imola as the boys get busy with the fizzy here in Portimao. The message is clear from Palou Motorsport and James Igozzi. Catch us if you can. We'll see you in Imola.
I think a good thermometer, if you'll allow me to go off track, pun intended a little bit, is that we saw cars fighting on track at a very tight, very twisty circuit like Jarama, which is not very usual. So when I think about what we could see in Monza, in Silverstone, you know, those battles are almost guaranteed, basically. So my question for you is, yes, it's going to be fun for the fans, but how important is it to make a car that's good for the driver to learn? As I said, it's a bit of a school for the driver. They have to become used to that high level of technology, and they have to learn how to extract the most of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think this is crucial, and I think it was very kept in mind in the people who developed the car. So a very light car, capable of delivering great battles, not being too much influenced by the cars ahead, so that yes, they no DRS, for example. So really great overtakes with a decent amount of talent that needed to be put from drivers. So this will surely highlight the greatest one that are in the paddock.
For me, I've always been really impressed by the 326 because they can follow so closely in corners, they can carry so much speed through the corners because they have all of that downforce, but then also in the straight, the power of the toe is amazing when they're in following the cars. So yeah, I think it's a really, really cool chassis in terms of the racing. There's no fake overtakes through DRS, it's real racing, it's real high-speed cornering through the downforce, and yeah, I really like it, I think it's awesome.
And I think real racing nowadays is not necessarily as common as we would like it to
Exactly.
see. So come on, this is cool.
I love it.
Guys, have you heard a little bit, have you listened to the drivers, the current drivers, giving you feedback? You know, do you go to them for feedback on the new car to see what tiny things you can tweak for you know, the present, future, etc.?
Sure, I mean, personally, I'm sure we do, but yeah, Ryan as well. And yes, they are all amazed by the amount of downforce they get. Many drivers are coming from the Formula 4 car, so they feel very much the upgrade in terms of aero downforce they get. So yes, first races they needed to get used to that, but yeah, surely they are getting there, and the level of racing is improving as well. So we are enjoying that.
And Ryan, do you talk to the drivers about the operation of the steering wheel as well? Because I know that we as humans are very different, and I'm sure if I were to take your phone and my phone, our setup, so to speak, would be different. So this is the same with the steering wheel, right?
For sure, yeah. So one of the really, really cool things about the Cosworth software ecosystem is that you can actually leave some things open for the teams to manage, but then there's also some things which are locked away. So the championship, for example, can control all the engine parameters. They can lock away things like the downshift blip severity and the pedal maps. but then we leave things like the display, the LED configuration, the shift lights, the colors. The teams can make their own push-to-pass strategies. They can make their own start line pages. That side of things is all open for them. So in terms of feedback from the drivers, they can say, I would like a display that helps me find the bite point on the clutch for the starts, and some of the teams have been able to do that. But then in terms of fair play, then the championship can actually lock away things in the setup so everybody has performance things on a level playing field.